3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone. It is Truth Bombs, and I'm thrilled to be joined by two Russians who are going to help give some insight on this international situation. We got Elena to the right, drinking straight from a bottle of vodka. She must have some Russian bias. She's actually a Russian in America. What's up, Elena?
Well, the Russian vodka is nowadays prohibited. We
It
cannot
is. It's
taste.
un-American now. You better not be drinking vodka. I have an unbiased glass of mimosa. I thought a mimosa would be quite American. And in the middle, we have Lilia, who is in Russia right now. It's
Yeah.
my first time meeting you today. Yelena put us in touch. What city in Russia are you located in?
St. Petersburg.
St. Petersburg, Russia. Well, cheers, ladies. It's so good to have you join me on Truth Bombs. Cheers. We're going to look
By
at
the
some
way,
Russian headlines.
tequila.
What's that?
I'm drinking tequila. I'm drinking tequila. I am politically correct.
Oh,
Drinking
there you go. Supporting our Mexican friends, right? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I just got back from the border myself, so the Mexico border. So we're gonna talk about what's going on in Ukraine. We're gonna look at some Russian headlines, which is the latest infringement in America. The infringements on free speech for us Americans now extend to Russian headlines. We're getting more and more forbidden from looking at what the Russians are saying. There's a new news in regards to YouTube. YouTube won't let us look at Russian headlines anymore, but we're going to get around that rule like we always do. Here it is from Reuters. Update number 1, YouTube blocks Russian state-funded media channels globally. YouTube is immediately blocking access around the world to channels associated with Russian state-funded media. So we're gonna, I wanted to, have look at the American narrative and the Russian narrative, since I'm able to, have access to you guys. I was like, well, not every American gets to see what sort of propaganda the Russians are being fed. We just see all the propaganda we're being fed, which in the pandemic, Americans have been so filled with propaganda that we're sick of our own media at this point. But I know that Russian propaganda is pretty sketchy too. But if we can look at all the propaganda, we can kind of pick apart some truth in there somewhere. I'm thinking that's my hope. So I thank you ladies so much for joining me. Before we dive right into it, and guys, we're going to talk about everything. We're going to talk about China. We're going to talk about the biolabs in Ukraine that they've been discussing. We're going to talk about Trump and whether Putin's a genius. We're going to talk about a whole lot of stuff. Before we get into it, shout out to the sponsor of my coverage, which is Health with Ivory. Check this out. Studies show our appearance is directly affects our mental health. Many anti-aging supplements found on store shelves try to capitalize on that. Most of them fall short. This is because they fail to target the root of the problem. That's why I highly recommend Health with Ivory. This amazing collagen quickly restores youthfulness to your skin. It helps combat wrinkles and does so better than anything else I've tried. Imagine how good your skin could look this summer if you're taking Health with Ivory Collagen, ageless multi-collagen from BioTrust. If you've been looking for a great way to look and feel your best, you'll love Health with Ivory. Get up to 51% off for the next 24 hours by going to healthwithivory.com or by visiting that link down below. Health with Ivory is linked right down below. And Yelena, I know you're a big fan of collagen as well.
Yeah, in fact, I am thinking, is that gonna be considered healthy if I add some collagen in my tequila?
That will make your tequila healthier and dilute the sharpness of it. I was just learning some new Ukrainian words for alcohol. What what Ukrainians call their alcohol. I think I deleted that.
Горилка.
What is it called?
Karin,
Горилка.
Oh yeah, it was something. It basically meant the harsh, like it was a translated as like burning.
Yes,
It
yes.
because it like alcohol burns your
Something.
throat. That's like literally what Ukrainians call their
Горилка.
alcohol is burning.
Горилка, it's like vodka, but I think it's, по-моему, она такая покрепче будет. It's harder.
a little bit stronger, a little bit harsher.
Stronger. It's a little bit stronger. Горилка, yes.
So
And handmade. Mostly handmade. Такая
wow.
самогонка. Самогонка, как
alcohol.
объяснить, что это самогонка? Горилка обычно, это самогонка.
Ooh, are they? Hey, they're speaking their own language. They must be conspiring against me, guys. It's great to
Yeah.
have you guys on here. Even though I don't speak Russian, so it's good to have a couple of Russian language speakers. So we want to get into what's really going on in Russia now. Let's cut to the chase here. You want to jump right into, and hopefully this doesn't get me deleted from YouTube, but you want to jump right into the bioweapons research and what you guys are seeing about this. I know, Elena, you saw a little bit about this. You were trying to get to the bottom of it between American headlines and Russian headlines. And one of my viewers actually sent me this link and said, hey, will you get your Russian friend to try to figure out the truth of this? So here we have Russian Ministry of Defense claims it has evidence of U.S.-funded bioweapons research labs in Ukraine. Mm-hmm. Elena, have you seen anything about this? What's going on there?
I did see it, and actually I must say Lilia was the first one who told me about, this.
And the first one who told me about it was my friend from Canada.
Really? So it was long before,
yes.
before anything popped in the media. So I will let Lilia say the story, what they are saying in Russia, and then we can discuss. Lilia, tell the story, because you saw this long before any media started to talk about it at all.
Ooh, okay.
Yes.
Fill us in, Lilia.
Mm-hmm. I have got a message from my friend in Canada who told me it's being spoken in Canada about the secret labs on the territory of Ukraine, and maybe it might be one of the reasons of this military operation. And then I told with my ученицы, как она будет? Без Лена.
One of her students.
One of my students. I told with one of my students from Germany. Germany. And she told me the same information, but from Germany.
So Germans and Canadians are aware of American biolabs.
From Canada, then from Germany, and then from Russian here, from my acquaintances here in Russia.
So this is what I love about the 21st century, is that the average citizen around the globe, we all have such access to each other now, which our governments probably don't like. When the governments are trying to commit their mischief, all the average citizens around the world who just want peace are calling each other up and being like, what's really going on? And so you're hearing from a Canadian and a German that there's biolabs.
Yeah, and then she sent
in Ukraine.
Yeah, she sent that information to me, and I have myself, I have a skeptical attitude about it, but Lilia sent it to me 2 weeks ago, long before anything like that popped in the media at all. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's interesting. And then guess what? In about, I don't know, 7 days after she had sent it to me, it started to pop out here and there in media. And then Russian official media started to talk about it aloud.
Oh,
Not
so
aloud,
now,
loud.
so now it's a part of the Russian propaganda
Yeah.
or that's just what I pretty much call all the news propaganda at this point. Like if it's a big news organization, it's probably propaganda. But I'm just obviously this headline fits the Russian, it'd be something that Russians would like to see. So whether it's true or not, I don't know. Let's see what Becker News is reporting. The Russian media outlet RIA Novosti released documents that the Ministry of Defense points to as evidence that Ukraine was undertaking research in US-funded biolabs that has the capability to be used for bioweapons. Major General Igor Konashenkov. Am I saying that right?
Konashenkov, yes.
Oh, I did pretty well. An official representative for the Russian Ministry of Defense provided the information to journalists. Moscow said that the documents allegedly originating from employees of Ukrainian biological laboratories confirmed that, quote, components of biological weapons were being developed in Ukraine in close proximity to Russian territory, as reported by RIA Novosti, which, guys, I don't know if I should have even let that media outlet name on my YouTube because the censorship on YouTube is so intense. I know Russia is undergoing its own intense censorship as well. So there we have it. Apparently Russia has actual documents that point to this being true about US biolabs in Ukraine. Now US based YouTube is banning outlets like RIA Novosti from banning YouTube's users, and a lot of the American media is banning that sort of content so that we can't see the Russian narrative. And Russia as well is censoring its people. Russia, Putin himself has pretty aggressive rules against you guys, doesn't he? Tell me what's going on there. Like if you criticize Putin, what happens?
It's a question for me, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, because you are
yes.
in there.
If we criticize Putin on social networks, it doesn't matter at all. But
you can criticize him on social media.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yes, we can criticize Putin in social media.
Okay.
But we don't have a right to demonstrate.
You're not allowed to actually demonstrate.
It's officially forbidden to demonstrate.
So
on the streets, yes.
So a week or two back, I was seeing what appeared to be Russian citizens out in the streets of St. Petersburg shouting for peace, saying they're against war.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It was.
So is that before the law was enacted that they can't do that, or what's going on?
То есть она спрашивает, что происходит после демонстрации.
Она спрашивает, excuse me, I will just quickly make this question clear. Спрашивает, видела очень много протестов.
Yes, это я поняла. Yes, I understood.
Это было до или после принятия закона?
Вот после начала операции вот этой, да, имеется в виду?
Да. То вот это
It was after the beginning of this military operation.
Yeah, that these Russians were out there saying, we disagree with Putin. They were taking to the streets saying, how dare Putin bomb Ukraine, right?
Yes.
And did any of them go to jail for that? Because in American media, we're hearing that Russians are not allowed to do that.
Yes, it's true. Unfortunately, it's true. Yes. The Russians are not allowed to demonstrate.
protest.
And for protesting against the war.
How long has
They
that been?
could get to a jail. Yes.
Oh, really? So how long has that
Yes,
been the case?
it's really so. It's really so. Yes. Unfortunately, it's true.
Wow.
It's true.
Has that always been the rule in the law in Russia?
Лен, что?
Всегда был ли такой закон в России, или это новое?
It's not a new law, but I can say it at the moment. I can say what since what time it's in Russia.
Okay, so it's still old.
Since 2 years or more. I don't know exactly. But
Okay,
not yet.
I was just curious because those Russians, if that's been the law on the books for a while, which sounds like it has, and those were some brave Russians to go out there and pack out the streets and say, we disagree with Putin, we do not like bombing.
Let me make that clear. So the right to protest peacefully, the right to peaceful actually is in our constitution. So what was happening over the year, the government, and I'm not even talking about Putin himself, I mean like even local governments was tightening this grips. So first of all, like you couldn't just go and protest anymore. You had to like get it approved through a lot of bureaucracy. Then it was something else.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
So grip was tightening over the years. And now, a week ago, they enacted this law that can actually lead to 15 years of a jail sentence. But it's not about criticizing Putin himself. I guess you can criticize Putin. It is about criticizing whatever
the military and this military operation. Yes.
Yeah, and
that's true. That's really true. Yes.
As someone who is in Russia, cannot call it war. If she call it a war, she can go to jail, basically, as easy as that.
Yes.
Oh, wow. So we Americans complain about YouTube not letting us say stuff, but the Russians can actually go to jail at the direct hand of their government, which America is starting to slide down that slope a little bit too. If you look at the January 6 prisoners who are still in jail, and Jacob Chansley, the face of that protest, who got one of the longest sentences after he was peaceful. He was peaceful at the Capitol, but on his sentencing day, the prosecutors used his words as the reason he deserved a long sentence. They said, based on the words he said January 6th and the words he wrote on Facebook prior to that, he deserves the longest sentence. And that right there is horrifying as an American and makes us way more similar to Russia than I would like us to be. With that being said, what's that?
I'm translating something to Lilia in case if she misses something. Lilia reads and writes fluently both in German and English, but she isn't used to speak, a live content.
That's why I
totally get
try to understand everything, but it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen sometimes. That's why Elena is translating for me now. But it's okay. Yeah, that's okay. Yes, and I think it's really it's really a mistake of our government to forbid people to demonstrating, because I don't think it would harm for people, because people just want and just need to как сказать, выпустить пар.
Let some steam out, basically.
Yes, let's
It
let some steam out. Yeah, just let some steam out.
Yeah.
It doesn't bring any harm, but it would bring more for rating of our president and for our government, I think.
So our Russian government, and I still say our because I'm from there too.
So Lily,
they better for the international community. So it's a shame that they prohibit peaceful demonstration.
right. Lilia, are you aware of any of those Russians who protested war now being in jail? Were any of them jailed?
Лен, что?
Вынесли вердикты по людям, которые в тюрьме, или еще нет?
As I know, насколько я знаю, да, некоторых, по-моему, осудили. Yes, as I know.
Yes, it's all being dealt with right now.
Couple of cases, по-моему, пара случаев уже есть, и couple of cases.
Wow.
Они получили, в основном получают штрафы, скажи, что в основном это штрафы или исправительные работы, там, по-моему, порядка 20 или 30 дней, вот так.
Most of them got either monetary penalty, some of them got like community service, as a punishment. They have to go in for a few months to do some, community work, and some did get a jail sentence. But
a couple of cases, I think, a couple of cases or not more.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow. Okay, guys, I want to show you guys the White House page on Instagram. Because
oh my God.
No matter what, and Elena, you tipped me off to this, no matter what post you click on, it is filled with Russian comments. Every comment on here is either the Russian flag or Russian language comments. It's
I know.
truly remarkable. The entire comment section is all in Russian right now on the White House Instagram. What's going on with this, Elena?
Well, what's going on? Well, let me ask Lilia maybe to tell the story how Russian, and I mean like how average Russian sees the situation, and you'd be surprised, but Putin has a very high rating in our country, right?
Yes.
Very high rating. Officially over 70%. And, I don't know how much you can believe that, but taking in consideration that half of my own family and friends support him, well, I believe it's somehow accurate.
Well, I mean, if you get punished for disagreeing with him, wouldn't you pretend to support him? But you're saying your family actually does like him in their heart of hearts?
Half of them. Don't forget that Russians who were living under autocracy regimes, since the very start of our nation and our country, we are used to something which is called a dissident. This is a person who sits in their kitchen and scolds government and, shares a negative opinion, but never goes and publicly protests. So, we Russians hold a lot of those private conversations about, how people feel about their government. And I do not support Putin. I never in my life voted for him. And
yes, me too. Me too.
Happy to say that.
Yeah.
I didn't. But half of my own family and friends did vote for them, and they still support him, which is, amazing to me. But again, I'm living here in the States, and I haven't been in Russia for 8 years. I haven't returned there since I left, by the way.
We welcomed Elena into the U.S. 8 years ago.
Yeah, almost 8 years ago. And I've been here, so, I'm not living in the same reality. So maybe Lilia can tell us how, people that she knows feel about Putin and what's going on, and why we Russians don't care about any sanctions.
Russians don't care about sanctions. Here's my
Yes,
thought on. Here's my thought
that's
on it.
true. Believe me, that's true. And Russian, at the moment, don't care about sanction because, to be honest, we are living. We have been living in the crisis since the last, I think, 30 years, 30 лет, minimum. 30 years.
Yeah.
Russia has had a 30-year crisis.
Yes. It's every time up and down.
Since
up
the
and
end of the
down.
USSR.
More crisis, lower crisis. But we have been living in crisis all our life. That's why. The most
You guys
people,
are just used to tough times, huh?
yes,
But here's the thing.
we have used to crisis.
Here's
So,
my
and-
thought, though. Like, if China is on Russia's side, and China is one of the biggest economic forces in the world. I mean, China's neck and neck with the US right now as being the economic powerhouse of the world. Then, look, if these other nations sanction Russia, that just gives China more business. And China can work more directly with Russia.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
You know, Russia can rely on China if the rest of the world's sanctioning them. That's why I'm just like, is that really how damaging is that, honestly, to Russia? Of course, America and NATO are going to act like they're really giving Russia a tough blow. But I'm just curious how much Russia really does care about sanctions. So your thoughts are very interesting.
I think approximately 20%. 20% примерно интересуется тем, что мы под санкциями.
Okay, well, so about 20% of our
20%. 20%.
They will care about the sanctions because they have economic means to actually enjoy those, import goods, go abroad.
Yeah.
But
they have and had the opportunity to travel abroad, for example. So, for example, they had the opportunity to they had как позволить себе afford they could afford everything, but the most population of Russia they don't care about it, to be honest,
because they couldn't afford that nice stuff anyway.
Anyway, exactly. Let me sum it up for you. Only 15 to 20% of citizens of Russia have so-called foreign passport, the passport that is required to go abroad and travel. 15 to 20%. The average salary in Russia is, Лиля, какая у вас зарплата в регионах? $400?
Это была в среднем, в некоторых регионах 15 тысяч рублей. Считай,
Okay, so
это было по курсу, в среднему курсу 73 рубля за доллар. Вот считай, это сколько у нас.
Okay, average salary in Russia, and I am not talking about Petersburg or Moscow, would be about $300 to $400 at maximum.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
At maximum, $400 a month is a average salary to Russia. Our our people, and I'm talking about people who actually constitute Russia, not just the big cities like St. Petersburg or Yekaterinburg or Moscow. They
Novosibirsk.
That's also a big city.
I think maybe a dozen of cities, not more.
Well,
we have dozens of cities with a higher life standards, and then the rest is still doing gardening for a living.
Yes, that's true.
Have a foreign passport, and I don't know.
Oh, they have their own gardens, so their own little economy.
Yes.
We Americans need to start building our own gardens because our little food chain our food supply, our supply chain is pretty bad right now. Okay, I wanted to get back to these Russian comments on the White House's Instagram. Russians flooding it, and you, Elena, at first I was like, are these bots? Which, by the way, this video is pretty propagandist right here. Saki is literally blaming Putin for our high gas prices that were already high before we sanctioned him. Yeah, we definitely need to reopen our own Keystone pipeline and start relying on our own energy. But that's a side point. All these comments to the right, it's all Russian. And I was like, Elena, are these bots? And you're like, no, this really appears to be organic. All these original comments, Russians have been trolling the White House for some time. Now I found one of these comments is in English, and he says English speaking citizens, your government is deceiving you, your news is deceiving you. I want to talk about the conflict between Ukraine and Russia. In 2014, a coup d'etat took place in Ukraine. He gives this background, and then he gets down to this point of so they themselves say that it was the Ukraine military who fired at them and not the Russians. So these cities to the east, Donetsk and Luhansk, are saying that that Ukraine fired missiles from the east before Russia ever fired from the west. And this was just one of the comments on here. Now, I had asked you guys about this beforehand, and Lilia, you said, in trying to figure out who fired the first missile, who really started this war in Ukraine.
Очень плохо слышно.
Lilia, you said you had a headline about this.
That's not.
Она спрашивает, как вся эта заваруха началась. Она спросила, кто первый выстрелил, но смысл вопроса, как вся эта заваруха началась.
Вообще, когда и как, вот вся эта история с Донецком и Луганском.
Донецк и Луганск, yeah.
То есть когда это все началось? Это началось 8 лет тому назад. It started 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Actually, it started 8 years ago.
That Ukraine has been intermittently bombing its citizens for 8 years?
То есть она говорит, что периодически Украина обстреливала эту территорию. As I know, yes.
Wow.
From time to time, and from some people who came to Russia from the Ukraine, they tell about it. Some people, yes, and we have. Забыла, как будут свидетели.
So
witnesses.
We have witnesses. For example, here in St. Petersburg now, they are беженцы, как вот не знаю, как по-английски беженцы.
Refugees.
Refugees. They are refugees from Donbass, from Donetsk, from Lugansk, but they are all scared to speak about it openly. I don't know why.
Wow.
They don't want to speak about it, and they don't want to be как вот на видео снято.
In the media, they don't trust media. They don't trust Russian media.
I don't blame them.
Yes, they tell other people about all these massacres in Donetsk, in Lugansk. But they refuse to speak for media.
Yeah, people got to have some courage and tell their stories, though, because in silence, governments can commit atrocities. So that's interesting to me. So, I've been a Houston reporter for years, and it was a couple of years ago that I ran into Ukrainian police on the streets of Houston. They had their Ukrainian badges on. I was like, what's going on? Are we being infiltrated? Anyway, that's when I found out. That's when I found out about the Houston.
Полиция не совсем поняла, что происходит у вас полиция.
На Хьюстона ходили полицейские с украинскими бейджами.
Yeah. So that's
I understood it was something about policemen with something Ukrainian, but
so that's when I found out about the Houston police, Houston, Texas, Houston police partnership with Ukrainian police. It's been going on for years through the U.S. Department of Justice. The U.S. has been directly collaborating with Ukraine. Houston police tell me in an effort to stabilize the nation of Ukraine. Ukraine has been so unstable ever since the Soviet days. The police force has a culture of corruption that Ukraine has been trying to root out, and American police have been going over there to teach best practices, and Ukrainian police have been coming here. And anyway, so I befriended these Houston police who've spent much time in Ukraine on the ground there. And I was like, what's really going on? But they talked about how Ukraine has been just such a corrupt country for years, but the citizens are really fed up with it. And I guess they finally had a really solid, free and fair election. My Houston police friend says that where they elected Zelensky, an actor, and they wanted to make sure that they weren't getting any career politicians. They wanted an actor because he had no background. He's a comedian, right? That's the president of Ukraine right now. So they're like, that's what we want. We want this comedian to be our president because he has no ulterior motives. He's going to look out for the people. But anyway, that's kind of the background is that these from my Houston police friend who's been on the ground there a lot is that these Ukrainians, they have a long history of a lot of corruption within their own country, but they've been working very hard to improve that. With that being said, I want to circle back on what the heck really happened with the first bomb that was dropped in Ukraine. Now, I saw I'm kind of glancing at the audience comments here. One of you guys mentioned Al Jazeera and how you like them. Well, here's Al Jazeera. This is the article that came out the day that Ukraine got bombed. And if you scroll down here to where the bomb was dropped, Russia hit several Ukrainian cities with missiles. It was February 24th that this happened. I remember I was flying to Seattle and I was like, good Lord, are you freaking kidding me? Missiles being dropped. I hated to hear it. Anyway, these are the three regions in eastern Ukraine that are mentioned to be bombed by Russia. Am I saying this right? Chernihiv, Kharkiv, and Luhansk.
Chernihiv. Mm-hmm.
So,
Chernihiv, yeah.
Guys, so I'm just gonna bring this. I'm gonna give you my theory on all this. Let's just bring up a map. Mm-hmm. So here's eastern Ukraine, right? Here's Ukraine. Here's the eastern part. I did a map. So Chernihiv, there's the first city that's bombed. Here's the other city. Kharkiv, that's bombed.
Kharkiv, yes.
And then Donetsk, they said, or did they say Luhansk or Donetsk? They said Luhansk was bombed, according to Al Jazeera, which is neither American propaganda nor Russian propaganda. It was Luhansk was the other city that was bombed. Let's rewind to the Monday of that week when Putin declared Donetsk and Luhansk as independent territories that he was looking out for. They had apparently seceded, and it was looking like they weren't part of Russia. And Putin's like, those are my buddies. Okay, that's how this whole conflict started in the end of February. So why would Russia bomb Luhansk if Russia is thrilled that they just seceded and Putin is supporting them and hoping they'll join him, right?
Если я правильно поняла, то речь идет о том, что у вас утверждают, что Путин бомбил Луганск.
Ага.
Правильно, да? Вот.
Говорят, да.
В то время, что Луганск – это, скажем так, территория, в которой Путин лично заинтересован, если я правильно понимаю, да?
Да. Да, ты правильно.
Так, и какой вопрос при этом, значит?
Вопрос такой, они только отделились, Путин за них, нафига тогда он на них сбросил первую бомбу? Типа, как-то странно.
So
вот в данном случае я могу сказать речь о том, что это чистой воды дезинформация украинской стороны.
Lilia thinking this is a disinformation from the Ukraine. That particular
disinformation from Ukraine. So, yeah, because Al Jazeera was reporting on Thursday, February 24th, the day that it was declared that Russia's dropping bombs. Al Jazeera reports that, and I guess they're citing Ukraine, as Ukraine reported columns of troops moving across its borders into the eastern parts. So why would Russia hit Luhansk with a bomb if Luhansk had already separated from Ukraine and Putin was applauding that?
Ну, в общем-то, вот это ответ на поставленный вопрос.
I think the
answer for the question. Зачем России бомбить Луганск, если Россия заинтересована в том, чтобы сохранить этот город?
So your question
is it's logical. It's logical.
Why Luhansk with a bomb? Why would they? They just separated, and there is a lot of information which I personally don't even know how to filter anymore.
Same, right? That's how we all feel.
I don't know how to filter it, and
so
I can say
I take it all with a grain of salt, right? We have.
I have just sent before we started speaking. I've just sent you this article from Rambler, and there's some information about the politics of our military on the territory of Ukraine. То есть я как раз отправила сейчас, прежде чем мы начали вот эту беседу, я отправила Ivory статью с ресурса Рамблер о том, какими принципами руководствуется российская армия, участвуя вот в этой операции. То есть нанести минимальный вред гражданскому населению. Но, к сожалению, исключить нанесение вреда гражданским лицам невозможно, поскольку...
Okay. So what Russia is saying officially...
То есть мы хотим... Российская армия хочет минимизировать эти потери по возможности. Их 100% исключить невозможно. Об этом речь идет в этой статье.
They are trying to minimize the civilian casualties, they are trying to make sure civilians aren't hurt, but unfortunately they aren't really able to do that because
that's what Russian media is reporting from the Russian army.
That they are trying to
and
minimize casualties, but it's not really working.
And I have that article you guys sent me as well. I'm not able to bring it up on YouTube because YouTube has new rules against Russian headlines. It astounds me, right, Elena? Because 3 weeks ago, you and I were on the beach in Miami podcasting, bringing up Russian headlines, and YouTube accepted it just fine. But now if I bring up a Russian headline, I get deleted. So, but I'm looking at the Russian headline here that Lilia sent me. So you're saying that Russian media is reporting Russian troops are doing the best they can to not hit civilians, but they're still
it's not
civilians.
working. So that's That article says, Ivory, why don't we let Lilia say the Russian version of this whole story, that is prevailing in Russia, and what most of the Russians
Oops, sorry guys.
actually.
Yeah. Tell me what's the Russian whole narrative?
Лиля, расскажи вообще кратко историю, да, вот что в России по поводу этого всего, какая позиция России, почему все началось, why and how it all started.
All this situation, this story with Ukraine.
Yes.
Yeah.
From the beginning.
Why? Yeah. Well, yeah.
From the beginning. How is Russian media spinning this? How did the whole Ukraine conflict begin according to Russia?
So you mean 8 years ago? Yes.
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 If that's
it's 8 years
sorry,
ago.
I poured kombucha in it.
8 years ago, I was absolutely uninterested in politics, and this annexion, would say it, annexion of the Crimea. It was really some shock for me, and it was unexpected, and I really did because for me, I always thought that Crimea is the Russian territory. To be honest, Crimea was the Russian territory. I didn't know about this fact in 60s years of the last century, that Crimea was given to the Ukraine. То, что Украину когда-то Хрущев Крым когда-то Хрущев отдал Украине. Я не знала об этом факте. I didn't know about it. Я была уверена, что Украина вообще что Крым это вообще российская территория всегда.
The fun fact about Crimea, so you guys probably all know that in 2014, Russia annexed Crimea, as Western media say, our media, Russian media say that it was a free referendum, and that
it was a free referendum.
Yeah, so that the population of Crimea chosen freely to join Russia. So Lilia just said that she didn't even know that Crimea wasn't Russian. Okay, she didn't.
I was absolutely. For me, to be honest, Ukraine and Russia was the same place, the same land, the same people, always. And I know some people from the Ukraine, and they have been living here in Russia for since 20 or 30 years. I don't know exactly. And they always told me Ukrainians and Russians are the same. It's the same. Absolutely.
Well, not anymore.
But not anymore. That's why it was for me. I couldn't imagine such a situation as now. This fighting between Russia and Ukraine really.
Stay on topic here. So in 2014, Russia annexes Crimea. Or Crimea chooses to be with Russia, whatever version you like, guys. What happened next? Что случилось после аннексии?
После аннексии, as I know, it happened something with Maidan in Crimea, as I know, in Ukraine. Там Майдан же у них начался, as I know.
There was a Maidan when a president of the Ukraine at that time, who was Viktor Yanukovych,
Yanukovych, I think. So first it was this woman, Сначала у них была женщина.
I don't remember that.
I don't
I
remember.
remember
It was a woman.
being
Then
out.
Leonid Yanukovych, yes.
And
Then
Zelensky.
Petr Poroshenko. And the last one is Vladimir Zelensky now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, it's all pretty confusing to us Americans, and the biggest thing, what made me sick to my stomach on February 24th when the bombs began to drop was I knew how thrilled Biden was about all it. It was just very clear to me. It would made Biden's day. He could deflect. And what do you know? The Jen Psaki propaganda is out there on Instagram. Ooh, we're so sorry for the high gas prices. That's all on Putin. And what convoy? What what are you talking about that we're tyrants? We're not tyrants in America. It's all Putin. So America had this huge deflection technique, and America is all pure and clean as wind driven snow now. And it's like the new bad guy was Putin, and Biden was just freaking delighted about that. And that's what was so disgusting to me. And you see it, Biden's State of the Union, he could not wipe that grin off his face. He felt so good about his new narrative of like, we're the good guys going against Putin. I was like, you are a crook, Biden, and every American knows it. So I was just so disgusted at mainly in regards to how Biden, it just made Biden's day that Putin would become the new bad guy. But beyond that, whoever's dropping bombs, it's horrible. I think citizens of the world want peace. I wanted, before we wrap this up, I wanted to get into the whole thing in regards to Trump, because the media went on the spin narrative about Trump after he called Putin a genius. I'm sure you guys saw that.
I heard about it, yes.
And I was like, good Lord, did he really? What the heck is going on? And he made that statement on Clay and Buck's show. They're the guys who took over for Rush Limbaugh. I'll actually be on their show on Monday. So tune in Monday. I'll be there. But anyway, so he told Clay and Buck this, and Trump's a very sarcastic guy, and his sarcasm always gets used against him, which I'm a very sarcastic person myself. If you saw my coverage on the Mexico border this week, you can really twist my words on that. But so I wanted to show you guys what Trump actually said on Clay and Buck and go from there.
Well, what went wrong was a election, and what went wrong is a candidate that shouldn't be there and a man that has no concept of what he's doing. I went in yesterday and there was a television screen and I said, this is genius. Putin declares a big portion of Ukraine. Putin declares it as independent. Oh, that's wonderful. So Putin is now saying it's independent, a large section of Ukraine. I said, how smart is that? And he's going to go in and be a peacekeeper. That's the strongest peace force. We could use that on our southern border. That's the strongest peace force I've ever seen. There were more army tanks than I've ever seen. They're going to keep peace all right. No, but think of it. Here's a guy who's very savvy. I know him very well, very, very well. By the way, this never would have happened with us. Had I been in office, not even thinkable. This would never have happened. But here's a guy that says, I'm going to declare a big portion of Ukraine independent. He used the word independent. And we're going to go out and we're going to go in and we're going to help keep peace. You got to say that's pretty savvy. And you know what the response was from Biden? There was no response. They didn't have one for that. Now it's very sad.
So yeah, it was like, okay, he's calling Putin savvy for basically taking over those regions and saying that, he's going to be the peacekeeper with all those tanks. But he goes on to say that never would have happened on my watch. So if Trump was supporting what Putin was doing, he would not have said that never would have happened. Watch.
Не
So
совсем
he
поняла последнюю фразу.
damn
Если бы Трамп поддерживал.
Нет, Трамп, они просто выворачивают тут его слова и говорят, что он типа поддерживает тирана, а он просто, ну, саркастически. Sorry, I'm giving you some
translating. Yeah, no worries. So, but of course, the mainstream media took it out of context, like they always do with Trump. They took a little sliver of it, saying he's genius, which he was basically saying, yeah, Putin knows the power he has right now, and as someone who wants power, that's like the genius move to do. And then he said it never would have happened on my watch. So anyway, but it was just like, yeah, because at first I was like, dude, is Trump really supporting Putin? But he was not. If once I listened to the whole thing and he says it's never gonna happen on my watch, I was like, okay, Trump's not supporting Putin. But it was really it's interesting how groupthink works in America. Conservatives and liberals participate in groupthink, which is the bane of my existence. I freaking hate groupthink. And sure enough, so the mainstream media spins this as Trump is supporting Putin. And Trumpsters everywhere start supporting Putin, even though Trump never did. But they go with the group thing. I was like, dude, you guys.
Большая поддержка для Путина идет со стороны Trump-voters. Они все поддерживают. Well,
I was like, guys, your man didn't even support him. You got duped by the fake media to be a Putin supporter.
Putin supporter. Well, in any case, it seems like no one really support or wants this war, you know.
Yes,
and yet it's
no,
still going.
Of course.
You know who loves the war?
And really, no one support this war in Russia. Of course, no one, nobody wants fighting with anybody.
No.
Ukrainians, Germans, Americans, we want to live in peace here. We want to work, we want to travel, we want to study. Of course, we want to have a rest, and nobody wants.
Yeah, I think
something like
none
this.
of us do.
But
we don't. Who does? World leaders love war. Biden's day is made with this war. He hopes war keeps going. It makes Biden look good.
I have a suggestion. How about we fire them all, and we will do a matriarchic rule, because this man, they're just doing it.
we discussed.
I wish it was that easy.
This position we discussed with Lena.
I wish it was that easy to fire our world leaders. You know, our election system makes it pretty easy to fire them. Yet for some reason, it never works, no matter who you hire.
I think it's time to fire them all.
Election.
They are not doing a good job for us.
What me, вот что меня беспокоит, what I'm very worried about the attitude of all the world against Russia, and against, first of all, against Russian people. I want to use this opportunity to back all people, Americans, Canadians, German, all Western people. I want to beg all people, please stop blaming Russians abroad.
It's in our culture too. That's just
hating Russians.
It's in our school books. Russia are the bad guys.
Russian people and Russian government, it's not the same.
It is different. It is different.
It's just different.
Yeah,
different words.
You
And,
guys are always the bad
um,
guys in our school books.
we don't want, to be honest, of course, we don't want to be hated. Nobody wants to be hated.
Hey, but I heard that Americans are the bad guys in your school books. we get pitted against each other.
Mhm.
Both of our countries indoctrinate their citizens against each other. That's what I'm discovering. And we all need to break through this and realize that we're all just humans who have a lot more in common than we think.
Yes,
that's very true.
I
We agree.
I hope. Yes.
With that being said, our hour has finished up. An hour has flown by. We've picked apart some propaganda from multiple nations today and helped everyone realize that we have more in common than we think. And I saw your comments about like, ooh, Ivory's humanizing Russians. That's not allowed.
That's not allowed.
Sorry, guys. I know they're that unhuman, like far off enemy that doesn't have a soul. Turns out we have lovely friends with lovely souls right here.
Hey, this is what Hillary told about Putin. Know that he doesn't have a soul and that he isn't even human. Ouch.
So the question really is whether Hillary has a soul. That's what we Americans are still debating.
You mean Hillary Clinton or what?
Yes.
Ага. Она говорила, что он нечеловеческое существо. Вот это что? Yes, not human.
All right, so
indeed,
there you go, ladies.
He's human. He's of course
so good.
Human. But I think maybe we'll meet together next time if you want, and continue. We could continue this discussion and this
continue picking this apart.
We want.
If YouTube doesn't delete me for this first video, maybe we can do another one. Okay, we'll see you guys later. Have a lovely weekend.